It is Betty Louise or Coach Betty, and I am back with another one of our amazing interviews in this special Inner Beauty project where we are focusing on lots of different perspectives on ways into finding and rediscovering. Actually, I say it's rediscovering because it is there, our inner beauty. So right now I have Lorelei Shellist on the line. Now Lorelei is an international model. Like she has been on the fast track with a rock star. And so she talks about a life full of gritty and glamorous extremes. So welcome to our special beauty project, Lorelei.
Thank you. Thank
It
you. It's
is
good. It's beautiful to be here.
yeah, we just got to start using that word more and it starts to happen. So you have written this book, Runaway, Runaway, which is a memoir about your own story that, beauty runs deep. And I am sure that given all that's happened to you in your life, you had great loss, you were a runaway, a teenage runaway. How did inner beauty play in the courage, confidence that it took to live the life you have?
Well, the inner beauty. First of all, the book is Runway, Runaway, and that's because of the career I had as a runway model, working with the designers around the world. But the question that you ask about, how did you? Well, I worked in a business where I was competing with what were considered the most beautiful women in the world. So that's a pretty scary place to be. You're constantly in self-judgment. I was always feeling like I wasn't pretty enough, or they would always make you feel like you weren't pretty enough or tall enough or good enough or your hair wasn't the right color. So it took a lot of inner strength to sort of shield myself against all of the criticism and all of the judgments. What I did was I would just act as if, and it was sort of like bring the body and the mind would follow. And I think that the inner beauty part of it, what got me through it, was just staying true to who I was, in a sense of knowing that I was good enough. Somewhere in there, I knew I was good enough, even if I would have self-doubt, and reassuring myself that I was in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing, or I wouldn't have been there in the first place. And it's like I trusted that I was right where I was supposed to be. And I never sold myself out. I never sold my soul to the devil. In other words, gave up my body for favors and things like that, because that happens a lot in the fashion business. And, people offering, dangling carrots in front of you. If you do this, we'll give you that. And I really held to my integrity. And that's what kept me going. And I think I appreciated myself for staying true to myself.
Yeah, I can just feel the strength coming through as you're telling the story. Were you born with that? I mean, you were a teenage runaway, and then you went to the runway. And thank you for correcting. So it's
Oh, that's
runway, runaway. But where did this integrity come from? Like, how did you nurture that through all of these amazing experiences that you've had? Because I think it's such a key piece with our inner beauty.
Well, there's a thin line between vanity and ego. You have to be vain enough, to appreciate what you see in the mirror, or make the best of what you see in the mirror. And I remember, and in that business, most models and actors and actresses, we come into that business because we want attention. We want to be loved. I got attention for being a pretty little girl, and I got love for being a pretty little girl from my parents. That was what was reinforced in me. And so I knew that I could win if I went in that direction. I was also very adventurous, very willful, and very independent. So nobody was really going to be able to tell me what to do. I never really thought that I was exceedingly beautiful. And of course, I had tons of insecurities about my looks. But I did know that I had what it took. I had the bare bones. I had the body, I had the height, and I had the bone structure. And all I needed to do from that point was enhance that, just add to it, bring light to that. And I felt like I was good enough. I will be honest with you. I I didn't have the self-confidence then that I have now. And I wish I did back then, because I would have been, I would have done a lot more in my career looking back. But I feel like I did what I had to do, and I got out of it what I needed to get from it. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And
I mean, I remember standing in front of a mirror in Milan when I first arrived in Milan. I was like 19 years old, and I got hired to work for, Italian Vogue. And I was in there with these other models who were older than me, and they were more seasoned, and they had been living there longer, and they all spoke Italian. And they were in the mirror putting on makeup for hours. I mean, hours. All day we were in that mirror, because in Italy you spend all day getting ready, then you have lunch, and then they take a couple of pictures. And I was sitting there and I was watching them, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I did my makeup in 10 minutes. And I'm like, so what's wrong with me? Do I need more makeup? I can't imagine putting any more makeup on this face. I mean, how much makeup can you put on a face? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
now when I look back at those pictures, I see that those girls, they just kept putting makeup on because they were hiding behind the makeup. It became like a mask.
Mm.
And it gave them confidence. And for me, I was sitting there thinking, gee, maybe I don't have enough makeup on here. But looking back, the girls look like clowns.
Yeah, and you were projecting that inner confidence that even at 19, just having been so adventurous as to travel over there and do that at 19 shows a heck of a lot of spirit.
Yeah.
And but what I'm getting is you didn't need the makeup because you could project the beauty from within, and you had the bone structure, and you knew all of that was there. And then it's just a matter of being you. So you now are working with teenagers, which I'm so thrilled with. And because, of course, when does it begin? For some of us, it probably begins when we're toddlers, but certainly teenagers, they have such a hard time feeling their unique beauty. So you talk about transferring the inner strength to the outward beauty. So how do you help these teenagers discover their inner beauty to begin with?
Well, I'm really opinionated. I'll walk up to girls in shopping malls and tell them to stand up straight. I'm just really bold. It's like, look at you, you're so beautiful, but try this. And then I'll show them how to stand, and I go, how do you feel now? It's sort of like it's like if you looked at a building, if it was leaning over, you wouldn't want to walk in it. But if it stands tall and erect, you just want to be a part inside of it. And basically, I think in our culture, we don't prize each other enough. I think that people are afraid to give praise to others. And even more importantly, we are very afraid of praising ourselves. And so we are deficient in self-acknowledgement. And I think that the first place to start with self-love is to appreciate ourselves every day. And I tell them this, I'll get them together and I'll have them write down what we call strength bombardment charts. And they'll have a partner and they'll write to each other what they see are the assets in each other. And they may have just met 5 minutes ago, but those immediate first impressions are the things that they write down. And I always notice that what the partner writes about them is a lot more abundant than what the person writes about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a really interesting observation. So I encourage them to observe themselves and how they treat themselves. How do we look at ourselves every day? Do we judge ourselves negatively every time we see ourselves in the mirror? Do we go to bed at night and thank ourselves for accomplishing whatever it was we had accomplished in that day? Most of us don't. And so that's what I encourage women to do, men too, just to, every night write down 3 things that they appreciate about themselves. And it's amazing how much love abounds from that, just that little tiny exercise.
Yeah, I deficient in self-acknowledgement. So let's fill up the reservoir of self-acknowledging. I am so with you on that. I think it could be transformational. So that's the teenagers. What about the older women? So I know you work with older women too. How do you help them? Because that's when they're, feeling like the aging process is setting in and beauty sometimes gets totally thrown out the window. They just forget about it.
I think that this is the place where women have the most opportunity to be self-loving, because it's really like, as soon as you said that, I just got this big smile on my face, because, I'm going to be 53 years old soon, and I see the grays, and I see the lines, and I see the roundness in my belly and the changing of my body. And I'm really being conscious of allowing it to happen, just making a conscious choice of allowing myself to grow older gracefully. And when I see myself in pictures, and sometimes the camera just doesn't lie, and I think, oh, that's me. I don't feel that old, but look at those lines. And then I have to remember to appreciate, oh, this is what beauty looks like at that age, at this part of my life. And as spiritual beings, our physical body is only a part of the aspect of who we are. It's only one of the aspects. So, in order to be whole and be self-loving, holistically loving ourselves, we have to learn to love every aspect of ourselves. And that
Hmm.
includes parts of our body parts, our hair parts, our skin, all the different things. Sometimes I'll think, oh, I'm getting this, like, roll in my belly, and I'll be very judgmental and negative towards it. And then I go, no, 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 no. And then I'll just hold it, and I'll send it love, and I'll say, I love you so much. We're doing
Mm.
just fine.
Yeah. Oh, that is just fabulous. And it's that relationship, that loving relationship with your body. And I know that that's what you go into in your memoir. And it sounds like it's just a great book, a great read. Runway, Runaway is her story. So, how can people learn more about you?
Well, my website, they can go to runwayrunaway.com to find the book, or it's on Amazon. It's also on Kindle, and it's also on audio. I do the reading myself. Then I have a personal life coaching website where my ministry page is, because I'm also a wedding officiate, and I do spiritual sacred services for people. So it's Loreleishellist.com, and that's LoreleiShellist.com. Either one will get you to the book or to my personal page. So either one of those websites.
Thank you so much for being a part of this project, Lorelei. I
It's really
love what
nice.
you're doing.
It's really nice. I wish we had more time. I have so much to say.
We're going to get you back. No worries. You have a beautiful day.
Oh, stay beautiful.